Hi everyone. So in this video we are going to answer two very important questions. One is how you can go from a service based company to a product based company. Second important question is how you can go from a tier 3 college to a product based company. So these two are very important questions and we are going to give you a roadmap which you can follow, the resources which you can follow to make this transition. So watch the video till the end. We will be discussing a lot of resources. We will also provide the links of those resources in the description and we will give you a concrete timeline and a roadmap, what all things you need to learn and how to separate out time to learn those things. Okay, so enjoy the video. Hi Revanth, how are you?
Hi Fraz, I'm great. How about you? Hi everyone.
I'm good too. So welcome to the channel. We have a lot of
Thank
questions
you.
for you. So basically, I have been interacting with a lot of people, and many people from service-based companies have been asking me that how we can shift to a product-based company. Is it even possible, and how to prepare for that, how to manage time and other stuff. And there were many people who were asking me that how to apply for a service-based company and an experience at service-based company. So we will be talking about both of these things. We will be basically giving them a guided pathway which they can follow to make the transition from a service based to a product based. Also we will discuss the work culture, the work life at both the places, right? So first of all, let us start with your own experience, your own background. From which college do you belong and how did you start preparing in your college? What kind of environment do you have in your college?
Gotcha. So hi Fraz, hi everybody. My name is Revanth, as you might have already seen on LinkedIn probably quite a lot of times. So I come from a small city called Nellore in South India, from a state called Andhra Pradesh. And I belong to the batch of 2014 to 2018. I studied in a nearby college in a local village. Sorry, in a local
Okay.
college in a nearby village called NBKR Institute of Science and Technology. And yeah, by the name, I think you can probably understand it's a tier 3 college, right? And
Yeah.
yes, after my graduation, I joined TCS as a system engineer, where I worked for 1 year in Chennai, and then I moved to Pipe, which is a US based startup, and I worked there for almost 1.5 year, close to, and then the startup got acquired by Autodesk in August of 2020. So in August of
Got it.
2020, I became an Autodesk employee. And then in November 21, I started taking my preparation seriously because I wanted to switch. It's getting close to 4 years. So I thought I'll make a transition. And by the end of March, like mid-March, middle to March ending, I had around 9 to 10 offers in my hands, including offers from
Great.
CoinsWith, ShareChat, and Atlassian, and Upna, all the other Techion, etc., etc. And I joined Atlassian as an SG to P4 level on April 24th. So that
Got it.
is all about me in a nutshell, Ras.
Yeah, great. So as you mentioned, tier 3 colleges. So basically what I personally feel is there's a lack of guidance, first of all, then there is a lack of that competitive environment in tier 3 colleges where people are competing with each other. So I can realize in 2014 the environment would have been worse than what it is right now. Right now they have exposure, they have a lot of YouTube channels, they have a lot of content out there, and they have awareness about several companies, what to follow, what not to follow. But at that time things would have been different. I'm pretty sure there were not YouTube channels, they were not like other content which is available right now. How was your environment there? Like your friends used to code, or you were the only one coding, or nobody at all was coding there?
I wouldn't say nobody at all was coding. There were a few people in my branch who I used to generally compete with, but even they were
Yeah.
not like regular coders. There used to be 2 to 3 people, and only
Mm-hmm.
in my third year I got introduced to this competitive programming platform like CodeChef and Codeforces. Codeforces,
Got it.
I don't know even I didn't even take part in one contest in Codeforces so far till date. CodeChef, yes, we used to have I used to have a profile on CodeChef. Used to solve. Back in those days, there was another guy who saw me solving CodeChef, and then he also started solving CodeChef, and then we used to, do a little bit of to and fro. But well, we had no guidance. As you said, no YouTube channels, no courses, no proper paths or roadmaps, no nothing. Back in 2014 to 2018 times. Um, I think the closest thing that came to guidance in terms of competitive programming or data structures thing was free. When I say free
Mm-hmm.
guidance, I think
Yeah.
Gaurav Sanka YouTube channel or Rachit Jain ka YouTube channel. I think only these two
Correct.
channels came close to that back in those days. Now
Yes.
I'm extremely happy. There are so many good YouTube channels that are providing free content. Like people don't have to pay a single penny outside. They can just go onto YouTube and search for these channels and learn DSA on their own. So I'm extremely happy in that
Yeah.
sense. But back in those days, unfortunately, not. There were not many guidance or resources or anything available. So yeah, I failed so badly in competitive programming. I gave up on competitive programming in my fourth year, first semester itself.
Got it, got it. Okay, so your journey have been very beautiful. So I read about it on LinkedIn as well, and I have seen at many other places that now you are a software engineer too at Atlassian. You started with a service. You started basically with a tier three college, then in a service-based company, then to Atlassian. So it's been a really wonderful journey. So we just want a guided pathway which others can also follow, those who are working in service based companies. Especially they want to make a shift, they want to basically explore product based companies, they for several advantage that they have there. So we just want that guided pathway, how to manage time, what all resources did you follow and what they can follow. There have been, I think there would have been some mistakes that you did throughout the preparation, you must have wasted your time somewhere. And yeah, all these things we would like to know so that we can get a better guided pathway to prepare for the product based companies while working.
Gotcha. Okay. Sure. So, like, it doesn't matter which one you're coming from. When you're trying to apply to product-based companies or startups, there are like 3 to 4 types of rounds you need to make sure you're good with. One, obviously
Yeah,
DSA, and the second,
yeah,
your system design slash high-level design, and third, your
correct,
low-level design, and fourth, machine coding. Very few companies have machine coding per se, not many, but still it is recommended to have to be good with machine coding because you don't know which
got
company
it.
has the machine coding properly.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
Also, Revanth, the this strategy we are discussing, this is for SD2, right? Because high level design and machine coding, all these, I don't think that they are asked in SD1, right?
Oh, no. I heard that Flipkart asks machine coding for SD1 rules also. Even Udan asks
Oh,
also, is what I heard. So, high level
okay.
design, yes, as you said, high level design might not be asked for all the freshers for SD1 rules. For SD2, definitely you're going to get asked high level designs.
Yeah,
But for SD1, LLD, and machine coding have sort of become mainstream is what I've heard, at least from what my experience with people, with interacting from people on Blind or LinkedIn. And the final round would be your managerial or behavioral fitment. I'll come to all of this. So the very
yeah,
first thing, if you want to learn DSA, you have two things mainly: one, lead code, or geeks for geeks. What I did was I went on to lead code, took a premium subscription for 12 months, and
yeah,
before all of this happened, it takes some time for your preparation to start taking that pace up. You sort of need to be in a no distraction environment, distraction free
correct.
environment. So that's the first thing. I made sure that I had it. Like I went to my family and told them, hey, I am starting my preparation for 3 to 4 months. Please don't involve me in anything. I don't want to be distracted. And they were extremely supportive in that sense. So I'm so happy I had such a lovely family who understood what I
Great. Yeah.
wanted. And then make yourself distraction free and set timelines, like very strict timelines. Since everybody is right now working from home, I'm pretty sure you can make time. People say that they don't have time, but that's definitely a myth. You always have time when you're working from home, like literally speaking. And for DSA, I took a lead code premium subscription, and for 9 months I did not touch that subscription at all. And then I got embarrassed seeing that I only have 3 months left, and I paid some 12,000 for it. And in the last 3 months I felt like, okay, I really need to make use of this lead code subscription at least in the last 3 months. And then I went on to lead code explore. Before that, in October 2021, I started solving the lead code top 100 problems. But at that point of
Got it.
time, one mistake that I did was I was by hearting the approaches of the codes, which was
Okay.
very bad of me. I should not have done that. I wasted 1 month of time because of that. I was like, yeah, I led some lead code experiences and I started saying, okay, this problem came up and this company, let me by heart this problem. I used to do that. Please
Got
don't
it.
do that. Definitely,
Yeah.
please don't do that. So I wasted 1 month of time. And then I had to redo everything from ground up again. So I had to learn data structures completely from ground up because I even forgot how to implement a linked list also at that point of time. It's been 5 years since I did DSA. I even forgot a linked list
Yes.
implementation. So I went on to Lead Code Explore section. I solved each and every single card in Lead Code Explore section that is available in the premium subscription and on my personal account also. Just that I get that double practice. And
Got it.
whichever problem I was not able to solve, I used to mark it. In Lead Code, you can create a list. So I used to
Yeah.
make a
Yes.
list telling that resolve this problem after 7th December or 7th Jan, something like that, one
Yeah.
week later. So I used to keep on resolving the problems that I was not able to solve. That's how I kept my concepts floating around in my mind always. And while solving these GSA problems, whenever I came across some pattern that I have not seen so
Mm-hmm.
far, I used to write that down in a Notion page. You'll probably see it in the video later point. I used to make a
Got it.
point of that in Notion page. I used to revise that Notion page every now and then in the morning or in the evening whenever I had time. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how I started developing these intuitions. So whenever you are given a new problem, you can at least get the very brute force approach right, and you can start optimizing that.
Yeah.
That's how I understood
Right.
these patterns. That's how I started solving DSA.
To make a shift from a service based company to a product based company, it is very important that you should be good at the work that you do. Okay, which basically means that you should be good at the tech stack that you follow. Just in case you are not good at it because of any reason, you can check out Crio.do. I will provide the link in the description. So they offer a very good experience based learning, which means that you will be working on a project. Along with that, you will be learning skills. So it will not be the case that you are just watching videos and then you don't know how to implement things. You will be having lectures, the live lessons, and then you will be implementing those things and you will be working under the guidance of some experts, right? So you can check out, the link is there in the description. Basically, they offer 3 programs. One is the full stack development program, then you have the backend development program, and then you have the fellowship program. So this fellowship program is relatively a longer program because it covers your data structures, it covers the rest of the thing, and it also guarantees placements. Basically, they also get your interview scheduled. So you can check it out, link is there in the description, and I have provided the link in which you can find the free guide to mini projects as well, so you can check that out as well. Okay.
And then for 2 months, I focused only on DSA because my lead code and DSA skills were pretty much non-existent at all. So that's why I focused on lead code completely for 2 months. And then I started focusing on high-level system design, your HLD. What I
Mm-hmm.
did was, whenever my DSA, when I start feeling comfortable with DSA, then I reduced the time for DSA and I increased the time for high level design. The very first thing that I did was I went onto YouTube, searched for Gaurav's and YouTube Gaurav's and system design playlist. There are
Yeah.
36 to 37 videos in that. So I went through each and every single one of those videos, made very quick notes about what Gaurasan was saying and what I understood. How can I represent that in an interview situation? I used to make very short sentences, like 1 to 2 liners, so that I remember them pretty well. Not like fully blown paragraphs. Only some concepts I wrote fully blown paragraphs. And again, the same thing. I used to revise them. I used to make notes on my personal iPad, and I used to revise them every now and then, whenever I had time, morning, evening, night. Whenever I had time, I used to go do that. And then I bought
Got
this
it.
book called System Design Interview Guide by Alex Zhu. That was hands down the best, one of the best purchases I made in my professional career, probably speaking, because there are like 15 to 20, no, not 20, 15 around components where he explains extremely good. There are 4 step scenarios in that. He explains extremely good
Mm-hmm.
how you can approach a system completely from the ground up. So that
Yeah.
developed my intuition in terms of interview. So that really helped. I read that book, I think probably like 10 to 20 times. I don't remember the exact, might be more
Great.
than that, definitely. Whenever I used to have a system design interview, anytime I used to take that book, I used to skim through the whole 300-page book in less than 20 minutes. I got to till that point. In the beginning, I used to take it took me like almost 2 to 3 weeks to complete once. Later on, once I started understanding the intuition, I used to just look at the final architecture diagram and then I used to recall everything that is built in that component. So that's how I used to revise whenever I had a system design interview. And then I used to have
Okay.
a partner. What we did was, she was also preparing for system design and I was also preparing for
Yeah.
system design. Every now and then, one day I would explain her what I learned, and another day she would explain her what she learned. And we used to mutually corroborate whatever we learned, whatever the notes that we prepared, and we used to do a little bit of like this. And then I used to have another friend who is from a non-technical background. I asked her to take a mock interview of me in system design. So my
Okay.
understanding
Nice.
was, if I can explain her, if I can tell what exactly system design is in layman terms, I think I'm in a
Yeah.
pretty good spot in technical interview. And surprisingly, she understood whatever I was saying and she gave me extremely nice feedback about the same also. At that point of time, I
Yeah.
understood, okay, now is the time when I can start giving interviews. So in February, starting also, I started giving my interviews. Low level design,
Yeah.
you don't need much practice if you are a seasoned coder. If you code from day to day life, you don't need that much
Mm-hmm.
practice for low level design. But let's say you're a fresher, you definitely need practice for low level design, and you are not, there are like I think just 10 to 20 popular questions in low level design that get asked in your interviews. If you don't get asked them, if you are familiar with those 10 to 20, you can at least draw intuitions from all these problems and frame that new problem on your own. That is the reason why
Yeah,
you go ahead with all these popular problems. The same thing with
got
machine
it.
coding also. In machine coding as well, you have maybe like maximum
Yeah.
of 10, like you have a distributed cache, you have a key in-memory search engine, a database, all snake
Hmm.
game, ludo, snake chess, all this stuff. If you can
Got
solve
it.
these functionalities end to end, at least one functionality in these problems end to end, if you are given a new problem, you can get your bare minimum right. That's for sure, that's guaranteed. So that
Yeah.
is how you can develop your machine coding also. And finally, for managerial or behavioral fit, sorry, cultural
Yeah.
fitment round,
Yeah. Revanth,
be
before
very.
moving to that,
Mhm.
there's one question I want to ask. So, Revanth, one very important point that I would like to put an emphasis on is peer coding, right? You are basically having a
Mhm.
peer along with whom you are practicing your this system design rounds, right? Similarly, we
Right,
can have peers with whom we are practicing the data structures round as well. Basically, with whom we can practice data structures, we can take mock interviews. It will keep us
right,
motivated, as well as we will have that actual feel of the interview when we are explaining our
exactly.
approach to our friend, right? We have that feeling of interview. That's a very good practice, and even I used to do that with my own sister. So she's also in the same field. She is currently working at Microsoft. So we used to do that a
That's awesome.
lot. We used to solve contests.
Mhm.
After the contest, we used to discuss solutions. We used to discuss each other's approach, and then try to upsolve the problems which we were not able to solve during the contest. So yeah, that's
Right.
a very important point. The other thing is, as you mentioned, a lot of resources, a few notes that you made for system design, and a few resources that you followed for the machine coding rounds. So can we have all these resources? Can we have the links of all these resources so that I can provide it to the audience?
Sure, sure. The system design one, I anyways have uploaded that on my LinkedIn. I'll probably give the same PDF as well. For the
Yeah.
DSA ones, I can send you a short video of that Notion page. You can have that as well. For machine coding and low level, there's not proper resource that I followed because, frankly
Mhm.
speaking, there is not a structured resource for machine coding and low level design anywhere on the internet. The closest things
Got
that
it. Yeah.
there are a couple of videos, YouTube channels, but I felt them a little bit overkill for the system design, at least for the interview preparation. So lead
Mhm.
code discuss section and hacker noon, medium
Yeah.
articles, those were my preparation for machine coding primarily.
So whatever the resources are there, we will provide it in the description. After the video, you can go and check it out. Okay. So yeah, even now we can move ahead to the managerial round.
Right. Okay. For managerial, same thing. One very good thing that you should really, really keep in mind is never ever lie in these rounds because people can definitely figure out if you're lying or if you're telling the truth.
Yeah.
Mostly, these rounds are going to revolve around your projects. So don't play cat in a maze or some sort of situation. Understand what is the thing that you have done in your project end to end. Like when the interviewer pinpoints some situation, you should be able to tell what is your role, what is the contribution that you did, what is the impact that it created in the product or anything, or from an engineering perspective, what is the work that you have done in your project. You should be able to tell that end to end. Even with the architecture, if you're working at a company wherein this is a very big product, you should be able to tell the architecture of that also. Every single managerial round that I had asked me to tell the architecture at least on except 2 to 3 companies. So be familiar with the architecture of your products that you're working on as well. So that is one thing. Second,
Yeah.
situation questions. Questions like how do you deal conflicts? Have you ever faced conflict with a team member? What will you do in this
Mhm.
situation? What will you do in that situation? Etc. Etc. These sort of questions. So these questions can be answered very easily with if you follow the STAR format: situation, task, action, result. Like
Yeah.
why, if you google that, you'll probably get what that is. I'm not going to waste a lot of time explaining what that thing is because you can understand it's self-explanatory. Honestly speaking, frame all your answers like 10 to 20 template answers in this star format. So that is what I also used to do. So
Okay.
whenever a question comes up, you can recall
Yeah.
them and you can make a story on the fly. When I say story, a genuine story, not a fake
Yeah.
story. So
A
yes.
genuine story. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So whenever you use this approach, that approach, although you are prepared with the templates, but those templates should be your own, right? You should have your own experience in that template. So that's a very important thing. Even I did that for the interviews which I gave. So yes, I recalled all the incident which actually happened with me in my company when there was any conflict or anything that I came up with a new idea. I recall all those things. I made a template so that I can present them nicely. But at the end, it should be your own. It should be your own story, not somebody else's. It should not be copied from internet. So yeah, all these things are very important, whatever we have discussed. But one of the most important thing is for a working professional, those who are working in a service based company, for them it is sometimes difficult to segregate that time, because after the whole day's job they're exhausted, and they have to spend time with their families as well. So they just, I don't know, many of the people complain about it that they don't have time while they're working. So how did you manage this time, and how much time should one be able to allocate for the preparation?
Okay, that's a very straightforward and generic question. I'll try to explain it as much as I can in the time that we have. One thing, the work from home situation definitely helped me a lot. I think from the past 2 years, if you are switching in the past 2 years, work from home situation definitely helps you a lot. The
Yeah,
second thing, you can always take out at least 1 to 2 hours of your time. There are 24 hours in a day. If you can
yeah,
definitely squeeze out 1 to 2 hours, that's for sure given. Cut out on that Netflix or cut out on that movie series, whatever you're watching for 3 to 4 months. You should be able to do that. Honestly speaking, there is no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. If you are trying to switch to a company, a product-based company, you're trying to improve on your life, there are a couple of sacrifices that you will have to make. Not long term, at least for your preparation time. Squeeze
correct.
out those 2 hours from your daily life. Set it aside for preparation. No distractions at all, completely for those 2 hours. And if you can start solving lead code problems in those 2 hours, or the concepts that you have no idea about or anything, and even during the daytime, you don't, once you are done with your lunch, that is the time when people are not at all interested to do anything. At that point of time, maybe
Hmm.
watch a system design mock interview, or maybe go ahead and watch some foundation system design video, or read the system design interview book. That would take you 20 to 30
Yeah,
minutes. So try to find those sweet spots where you're not being unproductive, but at the same time you're not wasting that time also. So you have to
absolutely.
be the owner or the judge in those situations. Frame your day-to-day life where exactly you can squeeze out that particular time and make the best use out of it for 3 to 6 months. Like if you ask me the general span, if you want to switch to a product-based company, if you're starting everything from ground up, ground zero, is I would give 3 to 6 months if you're switching. If you can be consistent every single day for these 3 to 6 months, you
Hmm.
are going to get that job for sure. There is no doubt about that.
And it is very important that you stay consistent and disciplined throughout this preparation journey. So yeah, we have discussed all the points very nicely. So we have provided a very good pathway for you to follow. We have given you the resources, we have given you the guidance, how you can how you can segregate your time. Now one very important thing that I want to ask is, like, how do you feel the work life culture working at a service based company and a product based company? How do you feel that difference?
Okay, one thing, in TCS, the first 3 months was training period. That was my complete learning stage.
Okay.
My journey started with TCS. That training period is what I learned, and I'm spending out throughout my life. So those 3 months, I definitely have to give it to TCS for their amazing training. And then when you make a transition from a service based or to a startup or a product based, the very first thing that you will notice is one, ownership. You are expected to
Yeah.
solve things on your own. Yes, you have help available, you have your peers who will help you, but 99% of the times you are expected to come up with solutions on your own, and you are expected to code it on your own. Yes, you always have help. I'm reiterating, you have help, but you need to do it by your own. One thing. And the second thing, that curve, the learning curve that you have, you there will be situations where you need to learn a completely new technology in order to understand the
Correct.
product, or in order to build a new feature also. And the timelines are also going to be very strict. I wouldn't say people are going to sit on your throat every single day. No, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in service based or startup or product based, but the timelines are going to be very strict. You have to jumpstart whatever you are learning. That has to be at an extremely fast pace. That fast paced culture
Correct.
is what came as a shock to me when I switched from the service based to a startup,
Yeah.
because I had to build a complete feature completely from scratch using Elasticsearch. I had no clue about Elasticsearch. I had to learn Elasticsearch, build it, deploy it onto production for the users in 3 months. I had only 3 months of time when I joined the startup. So that was the amount of what is a responsibility and ownership you are expected in a product based or a startup company. So that is the major two things that you observe immediately after you join any company.
Yeah. So thanks a lot, Revan, for all this information. I hope this will be very useful for the audience out there, and yeah, people will get motivated from your own experience. And once again, thanks a lot for sharing it with me and with the rest of my community.
Likewise, Fraz, thank you very much for inviting me on. It was a pleasure talking to you for this time.
Thank you.